Thank you for tuning in and welcome back to the Sandwich of Coherency podcast. Well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Today I want to talk about some things that you've probably seen in the news, especially over the past year, actually last year. And I think it believes with the term Build Back Better. I want to talk about Build Back Better. I'm not going to go too far into many significant details of it. Rather, I want to highlight the global connection of what the Build Back Better plan is. So if you remember from 2020, it was the presidential candidate at the time, Joe Biden's platform. He wanted to build back better, build back better. And we have to ask, I ask myself, where did that come from? So I kind of got curious. So we did have Biden with the Build Back Better, but we also had Canada with the Build Back Better. And we also had England and Germany and France and Italy, and New Zealand, and Australia, and a whole plethora more of different countries bolstering the term Build Back Better. So that brings the question, this is probably the first time I've ever seen, or I think anybody's ever seen, in the history of modern nations, where almost every single leader and country is using the same slogan in unison and such. So that leads me into a deeper dive. Okay, what is the Build Back Better? What is the Build Back Better plan a part of? Well, this comes from the United Nations and the World Economic Forum. So this is a scheme pretty much by the World Economic Forum, which is part of their Great Reset, which they removed the page from their website originally, where they explained in their wisdom how you own nothing and you'll be happier for it. The idea is that everything, such as your home, your business, your automobile, your property itself, will belong to the government. Everything you have will belong to them, your land, everything. The beauty is, you don't have to worry about it because you'll rent it from them. And it's for the better of the world. See, because then you don't have to worry about that pesky business of leaving it to your loved ones, leaving your inheritance behind, because you own nothing and it belongs to them. And when you die, they'll give your shit to somebody else. And that's how it will continue. And these are the people at the top with the wisdom. It's interesting to note that if you ever pay attention to these taxes and schemes and programs they have, they're never a part of it. It never affects them. Have you ever looked at communist systems that arise, authoritarian regimes that arise? It doesn't affect the people at the top and those that they keep in their circle. Rarely in those situations do you see people from the bottom of from the bottom rung of the ladder making their way to the top without having to do very terrible things to get there. Not many people will make it to the top through honest work and through their own merits and moral living in those regimes. If you question that, you can see it in the Chinese nation. Nobody makes it from the bottom to the top without having to do terrible things in those kind of regimes. when you have those kind of governments in control. Now, the reason I'm talking about this and bringing it into the Build Back Better plan and bringing it to the World Economic Forum and the United Nations is because this delves us back into the United Nations part. Now, what I mean by that is I'm concerned with what is the Sustainable Cities and Human Settlements plan that they have. Now, these things are being enacted by local governments. This is not, so they're circumventing the federal governments of nations and taking it to the lower levels. So a lot of people are not aware of this, but cities such as San Francisco, New York, Manhattan, places in Oregon, Los Angeles, So what I'm trying to get to is that these places are working directly in concert with the United Nations to implement these programs that they want them to do. Now, this goes against what, without the inclusion of federal governments, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it does not include the actual citizens in the choice of these matters. So if you see major cities having these major changes that are happening and going on that people have actually been questioning and wondering about, this is exactly what is happening. This is why it's happening. So I'll direct you to the sdgs.un.org/topics/sustainable cities and human settlements. Because what I'm going to tell you is coming directly from the United Nations page. And I'm sure many of you have heard about Agenda 2030, Agenda 21, and I'm sure you've been told they're conspiracy theories. They don't exist. This is just crazy talk. Well, here's the thing. It's not conspiracy. It's not a theory. It's you can literally go, it's right there in front of you. The information's right there for you to see. So, one of the main things, as it points out in 2008, and what they say was the first time in history, the global urban population actually outnumbered the rural population. Now, what they say is they had a plan, and this was prior to the adoption of the 2030 Agenda, which was Millennium Development Goal 7, which was trying to improve the lives of at least 100 million slum dwellers by last year, 2020, and they failed tremendously on that. So implementations that they put in place did not work even then. But one of the things that, now this is going to go very specific, sustainable human settlements development was also discussed at the second and third sessions of the Commission of Sustainable Development. Now, this was to promote the development, and this is in the subject of Chapter 7 of Agenda 21, which calls for 1. Providing adequate shelter for all, 2. Improving human settlements management, and 3. Promoting sustainable land use planning and management. Now, the idea of what this is just doing it their way. Whether it agrees with what your local municipality might like to do or what they are striving to do for their own citizens, they have a global plan, and it's only going to work if they can get everybody to be a part of it, to join in. So now you've got paragraph 89 of the 2030 Agenda, which calls on major groups and stakeholders, including the local authorities, to report on their contribution to the implementation of the agenda. So local and regional governments have a wealth of valuable experience in the localization of the 2030 Agenda. The idea of this is to go from the bottom up. The only way to be able to change your government at the top is to begin by moving the pieces at the bottom. So this is and I'm not trying to speculate, I'm just saying exactly what it looks like. And this is just my own opinion. But you have a global scheme, a scheme of global leaders, people that consider themselves, again, they call themselves the elite sitting at the top, have decided what the plebes down at the bottom should live like. And the only way they can do it is to force the people at the bottom to do it to themselves, to make their governments do it to them. Because fortunately, we still have people who exist in the government that reject such notions of multiple nations having decisions that can bypass individual countries' sovereignty, which by extent will trickle down to infringe upon the sovereignty of the individual person living in those nations. So that's something to think about. And again, we're talking about the Build Back Better program, as well as the SDGs, which is the Sustainable Cities and Human Settlements program, and the connection with the United Nations and the World Economic Forum. But I encourage you to just simply do it on your phone, do it on your laptop. Just go ahead and look up Build Back Better. Do it by country. See what you find. And you'll find that more and more of each one you're looking at is running the same plan. They all have the same goal. And it's to tell you what to do. They're deciding for you right now, and they're coming up with ways to take away your own individual sovereignty. So just go ahead and look on that and come up with your own opinions on that. Come up with your own opinion on that. Oh, sorry about that. But I thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have a good night. We'll catch you next time.